I'm joined now by Citigroup economist Giada Giani. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. Are we getting ourselves into a situation in these countries where the deficit is going to be cut, public spending is going to be cut back just at the time when they need economic growth, and that's actually going to slow economic growth, therefore slow tax receipts and make it even harder to get out of their budget deficit?
Yeah, well, definitely the fiscal consolidation momentum is building throughout Europe, especially throughout the peripheral Eurozone countries. If we take the spending cuts and tax increases that Spain has put on the plate and Portugal has put on the plate this week, they amount to around 2.5–3 percentage points of GDP for this year, which is a sizable already fiscal adjustment for these countries. This is not comparable yet with what Greece has been doing, with what Ireland has been doing since last year, but is already a quite significant step forward. Whether they will manage to achieve the deficit reduction that they are planning to do, this is another matter of fact. I think
6%, isn't it, by 2012?
Exactly, and 4.6 for Portugal next year. I think this is probably not really achievable, at least for next year. I think more fiscal measures, more tightening measures will have to come probably in 2011, not this year, in order for these countries to reach these targets.
Now, an ECB board member said that these kind of budget adjustments, he called them cuts, I guess, will restore confidence in the market and therefore be positive in the economic cycle. Does that make sense to you?
It does probably make sense to the extent that it does something to restore confidence. I think these steps come as a sort of consequence of the deal struck last weekend in Brussels for the European Stabilisation Fund. It's sort of the price that Spain and Portugal had to pay for this mechanism to be set up. I don't think they will be able to restore growth in the short term. There is a different time horizon. In the short term, I think growth will suffer.
Can you see it going back into negative territory? Because it's actually doing all right at the moment in Spain, isn't it?
It's just doing all right in Spain. It's doing positive in Portugal. I think it's likely to go back into negative territory, both in Spain and Portugal, probably in the second half of this year.
Now, there's an awful lot of... there's some lagging factors in Spain, isn't there? There's still a big problem with property, construction industry, unemployment for the youth. Any of those, are there any positive lights there? Not yet, I would say. I think the housing market has still quite a lot to go for to restructure. I think house prices have not fallen as much, or nowhere near as much as in Ireland or UK or the US, and the overvaluation before the beginning of the crisis was more or less similar, if not worse, in Spain. So I think the drag from the housing sector and the construction sector more generally is likely to continue to remain there for Spain. And also do property prices have further to fall in Spain?
Possibly, yes. I think so.
Is all of this just too little too late? Should Spain have acted earlier to cut the deficit?
I think, you know, one thing is saying should, and one thing is saying what they've actually done, the reality. And I think up to a few months ago, the momentum within Europe was still in favour of fiscal stimulus in order to support growth. And I think Spain has done the largest swing from being the largest spender, if you like, over the last couple of years, to move on top or close to the top of the list among the countries that has to do and are doing some fiscal consolidation already. So I think the swing that we've seen up to now is quite remarkable for Spain. So I think it's unlikely that that would have come earlier.
Yeah. Now, how is this going down? We've obviously seen what's happened in Greece, much greater austerity measures there, but it has gone down badly with the unions, for example. Are there likely to be similar problems in Spain, or is it not as severe? Well,
unless we have another severe deterioration of the sovereign debt crisis in general and in Europe, with spreads widening further and Spain being forced to ask for the rescue package similar to the one that they put in place for Greece, then I don't see the kind of fiscal measures that we've seen in Greece to be requested or necessary for Spain in the short term. I think there is a little bit more general cohesion and social cohesion within Spain than in Greece, and so I see a possible escalation in Spain, but not as bad as we are seeing in Greece now.
Giada Giani, thank you very much indeed.